Welcome back to my channel. I am back with another Baddies USA Chapter 2 review. This review is for episode 3, so let's just get right into it. So this episode picks up where the last one left off, where the baddies are at rehearsals, and some of the baddies were on stage trying to rehearse for their upcoming performances, but the other girls were out there fighting. It was getting crazy, and E.T. and Persuasion was the first fight of this episode. The two of them get to fighting with each other. Honestly, I don't know what the two of them were fighting for. I didn't even know they had beef. And honestly, they fight the same. From watching this particular fight, it looks like they fight the same way, but when I slowed the fight down, it did look like Persuasion got more hits in than E.T. did, so I'll give the win to Persuasion, but it wasn't really by a lot. And then Cold Killer and Tinkerbella get to fighting again, and honestly, there was no point in the two of them fighting again. I'm tired of the two of them fighting. We saw them fight last season, and now we have to watch them fight again. But during this fight, Tinker really took Killer through there. I mean, one of those punches really connected to Killer's face, and you can tell that it caught her off guard. Like, it looked like that hit was so hard that it stunned her. So I'm guessing this was the fight with Tinker that ended up causing the injury to Killer's face. Now, she tried to say on social media that Tinker was wearing a weighted glove, and that's why she fractured her face, but we didn't see any weighted glove on Tinker's hand. That was just her fist being forceful. So I mean, I don't know, that was crazy to me, but hopefully we don't have to see them fight again because of her getting injured. Meanwhile, Camila is backstage with Biggie and Tasiki trying to wipe her face because it was bleeding, and she starts saying that Lex was looking for a moment and that Lex is a bully. And honestly, Lex doesn't need a moment off of Camila. Camila's not known for being on Baddies, so there's no moment to get out of fighting Camila. The only reason why she fought Camila is because of what Camila was saying on social media. Lex does not need a moment off of Camila because she can get a moment off of anybody else on the show. And then she tried to call Lex a bully, and I don't think that anything that Lex has done on this show gave bully. I'm sorry, that's just my opinion. The worst thing that you can say that Lex did on this show was the way that she beat up Summer last season, and she wasn't even wrong for beating up Summer. She was just a little bit wrong for how long and how many times she beat her up. What Camila did on Bad Girls Club season 8 was a lot worse than anything that Lex has done on this show. I mean, Camila is one of the last people that can call somebody a bully, and I do like Camila and I do have respect for the Bad Girls, and I always will. But if we're being honest, Camila was a bully on season 8 of Bad Girls Club. She tried to fit in with all the other girls on the show, and she turned against Christine, who was her friend. Yeah, she only knew her for one day, but the two of them came into the house together. They were partying together, having a good time together, and because Christine wanted to go home, Camila joined the other girls and bullying that girl, beating her in the front seat of the car and everything. The only reason why Camila became a fan favorite is because all the other girls ended up turning on her. They didn't want to include her in their group, and so she had no choice but to defend herself against all the girls in the house. And you can't say Lex was a bully for fighting people who can't fight, because Camila also fought people that can't fight. I mean, she continuously fought Elise knowing that Elise couldn't fight. So anything that Camila says about Lex, you can turn back around on her. But then Amber ends up calling out E.T. because apparently the two of them have been beefing on social media, and Amber was ready to get it over with. And so E.T. won this fight to me, but she didn't win by a lot. Like, she wasn't fighting the way that we used to see her fight. And so I don't know what happened. Maybe she was just tired, but she did win the fight with Amber in my opinion, because when I slowed it down, she got more hits in than Amber, but I will say that it wasn't by a lot. But then after that fight was broken up, Pressure comes from behind and she hits E.T. in the back of the damn head. And at first I was going to think that Pressure was wrong for that, but then I remembered what happened in last week's episode when E.T. jumped her with Ivori and Diamond the Body. So I feel like Pressure was just getting her lick back. But then Dolly steps up to E.T. telling her that she knew she came on the show to fight her, so what's up? And E.T. did not want to fight her. She said that she needed to catch her breath, and she was basically not trying to fight Dolly. And some people were saying that E.T. was just tired because she fought back to back, but you guys didn't give Dolly that excuse either, because when Dolly ended up saying that she didn't want to fight Ivori because she hurt her hand and she needed both hands to fight her, y'all said that, you know, Dolly was ducking smoke with Ivori, but now you're making excuses for E.T. E.T. was talking a lot of shit about Dolly on social media, so Dolly should have been one of the first people that E.T. approached for a fight. Then Diamond's on stage and Fauna's off the stage, and the two of them see each other, and obviously they still have unfinished beef from the reunion, even though I don't feel like it's necessary for the two of them to fight again. Diamond already got beat up at the reunion because she was drunk. I don't think it's necessary for them to fight again, but Diamond looked like she was about to do the people's elbow on Fauna off the stage, but she decided not to do it because she said that she didn't want to be beat up before her performance, so maybe after the performance they'll get in there and fight, even though I don't really think it's necessary. Now, E.T. and Persuasion do end up squashing their beef. The two of them are going back and forth a little bit, but they explained each other's side of things and they were able to come to an understanding, and I'm not mad at the two of them deciding to squash their beef, but I think it was pointless for them to fight in the first place. I think they could have talked before they got into fighting, like honestly. But then Mariah walks up on ET for a fight. I didn't even know the two of them had beef, so I'm behind on things. But the two of them start fighting with each other, and obviously ET won because that was an easy fight for her. Mariah Lynn can't really fight, although I do respect the fact that she'll get in there. And then the two of them ended up hugging it out after the fight, which is why I feel like there was no point in them fighting in the first place. Like, what was the point of you guys fighting if you guys were just gonna hug it out in the end? You guys could have just talked about your issue in the first place before fighting. The same thing with Persuasion and ET. And then Tavii and Pressure start fighting, which I knew that was gonna happen because we saw them get into it before, and I saw some things going on between the two of them on social media, so I was just waiting for this fight to happen. Honestly, this fight gave tie to me. Neither one of them were really doing that much though, and I did slow the fight down, and to me neither one of them really did much, so that's why I gave this fight a tie. But then ET starts crying, saying that her face is burning and she's getting water poured on her face. And honestly, I felt bad. A lot of things that ET does, I don't like, but I don't like that she had to sit there and deal with the pain from her face because somebody decided to put mace on their hands. And everybody was trying to figure out who exactly had the mace on their hands that caused ET's face to start burning. And then we find out that it was Persuasion, which she was honest. She did say that she did it, but she said that it wasn't for ET, it was for Pressure. And Rolly was right. If you feel like you can't win a fight with somebody without putting mace on your hands, then you probably shouldn't be fighting to begin with. Like, I don't agree with that, and I definitely do feel like production needs to do a lot better with searching these girls and making sure they don't have anything on them, because that's crazy. Nobody should have to fight somebody with mace on their hands. And Persuasion did get in trouble by production for doing that, but I just think that was stupid in the first place. Now this girl's walking around with her face burning because you decided to put mace on your hands. But while ET is walking to the back, she has something covering her face because obviously her face is burning, and then she has security and production walking her to the back. All of a sudden, Amber runs at her like a bat out of hell and pops her in the side of the face. And I think some of the production team said that they got hit because Amber did end up getting in trouble for this. I do think that she was wrong for doing what she did, but I can't really feel bad that it was ET that it was done to, because we've seen ET jump and sneak people a lot, so I can't really feel bad for her. But I don't really like that Amber did that either, and I would say that no matter who it was that it got done to. But then TT all of a sudden starts fighting Persuasion out of nowhere because she doesn't like that Persuasion had mace on her hands fighting ET. And look, TT got in there. TT won that fight with Persuasion, and Persuasion is a lot bigger than her. That's why I'm saying you guys have to stop saying that somebody's weight and height advantage means that they'll win a fight, because that's not necessarily true. TT weighs half the size of Persuasion, and she won the fight. Even Rolly was on the microphone saying that Persuasion lost, and she did. Then Daisy ends up chasing down Persuasion because she wants to fight her too, and Daisy just started swinging crazy, windmilling, and then Persuasion was windmilling. To me, neither one of them really did anything. I would give this fight a tie, but because I slowed it down and I saw that Daisy did catch Persuasion in the face a little bit, I'll say that Daisy won, but definitely not by a lot. Then Biggie's practicing for her performance on stage. Rolly's on stage too because she's supposed to be running this whole rehearsal, but she's not doing a very good job of it. And Daisy all of a sudden is trying to get on the stage to fight Rolly. She starts throwing things, and Rolly is dancing and laughing on the stage because security will not let Daisy get to her. And honestly, I didn't really like this scene because I don't think that it's fair that all the other girls have to run their fades, but Rolly doesn't have to. I mean, Daisy was doing a lot. I think she should have waited until Rolly came off the stage, and then she could have tried to get her. But I just feel like I don't like the way that they handled this situation. I'm not saying that Rolly has to fight Daisy, but it was weird how production handled the situation, because then they ended up putting a message on the screen saying that Daisy's time on Baddies had came to an end before it even really got to start. And so I'm like, damn, they got rid of her that quickly. What exactly happened that she had to get sent home? Then Summer ends up showing up later than everybody else, and she immediately starts yelling for Rolly and Dolly to run their fades with the people that they have beef with. She starts telling Rolly that she needs to get up and fight Daisy, and then she calls out Dolly and says Dolly needs to run her fade with Ivori. And obviously Dolly felt some type of way about Summer saying her name because the two of them are not cool. They just fought in last week's episode, so she doesn't understand why Summer's addressing her. So Dolly runs up and she beats up Summer real quick. I'm sorry. Summer lost. Summer tried to get in her confessional and say that she beat up Dolly, but she didn't. She's definitely a little delusional. I will say I would have rather seen Ivori and Dolly fight, but Ivori also didn't walk up on Dolly and try to fight either. Neither one of them went to each other and tried to fight. They were too busy focused on other things. So even though I don't think it was necessary for Dolly and Summer to fight again, I feel like Summer shouldn't have came in running her mouth then if she didn't want to have to fight. Because that's the thing. Y'all like to say that people are obsessed with Summer, but Summer's the one who walks into a room and immediately starting with people. So then when they pop her in the face, then everybody says the other person is wrong. It's like, no, she should be quiet if she doesn't want to get touched. Then Ivori comes out of nowhere. I'm sorry, this was funny to me, but Ivori sneaks up behind Tavii and takes her leg and kicks her in the back. And I thought that shit was funny. I'm sorry, it was. The way that Ivori did that shit, that had me cracking up a little bit. And Ivori and Tavii start fighting. Obviously, we know why the two of them were fighting, because Tavii felt some type of way about Ivori holding her arms back when she was fighting Cold Killer. And obviously, Ivori was wrong for that. But I think Tavii let the fans put a battery in her back. And so she started saying things about Ivori on social media. So I didn't understand why Tavii was acting like she was surprised that, Ivori wanted to fight her. But they start fighting with each other, and honestly, this was not a bad fight. Tavii was getting in there. She didn't just get beat up like the way that we know that Ivori can, but Ivori did win this fight. She won the second round too. One of the rounds, though, I didn't like that the camera ended up turning away from them because we didn't get to really see what happened during that round. But from the rounds that we did see, I'm going to give the win to Ivori. But then Ivori starts looking around and she sees Dolly, but then she sees Pressure, and she says herself in her confessional that she looked past Dolly and went straight for Pressure. That means that she didn't care to fight Dolly right then and there. She wanted it with Pressure first. And they fight 2 rounds, and Ivori definitely won both rounds. That's why you can't say that just because somebody's tall and they have some type of reach means that they'll win a fight, because that's not true, because Ivori's smaller than Pressure, and Pressure loses the fight to Ivori almost every one that I've seen. But then E.T. runs out of nowhere after this fight between Ivori and Pressure was broken up, and she pops Pressure in the side of the face, and Pressure falls backwards. And then once Pressure gets up, then Persuasion runs over and she starts trying to swing on Pressure. And I didn't like this because I felt like this could have been handled a little bit differently. Like, I don't think that Persuasion needed to run up and fight Pressure like that. I just didn't think it was necessary. I don't think it's necessary for back-to-back people to run at her. But I'm sorry, even though Summer does start a lot of trouble, the way that she was calling out Rolly to run her fade with Daisy was funny to me, and Rolly was on the microphone telling Summer to shut up, but I'm sorry, I thought it was funny because she's probably tired of Rolly not running her fades, just like a lot of other people are tired of that too. Now, Summer and Persuasion end up getting into a fight, and if you watch it in regular speed, it looks like a tie, but then when you slow it down, you see that Persuasion got more hits in than Summer, so I'm going to give the win to Persuasion, but she didn't really win by a lot. Here's where there's been a lot of talk, because this is basically the shining spot of the episode where Lex ends up calling out Ciroc. Now, I saw a lot of people saying that Ciroc won this fight with Lex and she took Lex through there, and I watched the fight in slow motion multiple times. Not only did I watch the fight in slow motion that people were posting on social media, but I also watched it in slow motion myself while I was watching this episode, and I rewinded it multiple times, okay? So here's what I think about the fight between Ciroc and Lex. So Lex calls out Ciroc, says that they've been there for a long time and Ciroc has not made eye contact with her, but Ciroc was on social media talking about her, so she's pressing Ciroc so that they can fight. Round 1, Lex definitely won. She caught Ciroc in the face multiple times and had Ciroc stumbling. Yes, Ciroc did catch Lex in the face one time during round 1, but other than that, it was all just Lex. Round 2, here's where people are saying that Ciroc won, and if you watch it in, regular speed, you will think that Ciroc won that fight, but when you slow it down and you actually watch it, you see that Ciroc missed a lot of her hits. She did catch Lex twice in the face, and she was rushing Lex, but Lex was still swinging the whole time, and she was catching Ciroc in the face as well. People are saying that Lex lost because Lex backed into the wall, but the only reason Lex backed into the wall is because she was still swinging on Ciroc while Ciroc was rushing her. I can give round 2 a tie because I can't really say that one won that round over the other. However, some people are saying that Ciroc won that round. If you want to say Ciroc won round 2, I'll give it to you because I'm not going to argue with you about it. I just know what I saw. But Ciroc was getting in there with Lex in the second round. She was. Round 3, Lex won that. There's no question about it. She won round 3. She was catching Ciroc all in her face. She landed multiple face shots, and Ciroc wasn't really able to do anything to her. So look, I'll say Lex won round 1 and round 3 for sure. Number 2, I don't really know who the winner was, but if you want to give it to Ciroc, I won't argue with you about it. You can say Ciroc won round 2 and Lex won round 1 and 3. So either way, Lex still comes out on top because she still won 2 rounds and Ciroc only got 1. I think it was a good fight though. There was no kicking, there was no hair pulling, there was no grabbing, there was just swinging. So honestly, these 3 rounds with Lex and Ciroc were the best fights of this episode. Riot was over there yapping though while Lex and Ciroc were fighting, and then Tasiki did try to fight Ciroc. Like, she did try to call out Ciroc for for a fight right before Lex and her fought another round, but then Ciroc really didn't want to. She just fought Lex instead. So, you know, Tasiki was trying to get in there with Ciroc. And honestly, I do kind of want to see what the outcome would be of the two of them fighting, because when it comes to size and height, they're both on the same playing field, so I'll be interested to see how that will go. But then Summer's running her mouth, yelling for people to fight, and then, you know, Tasiki's walking by. She's already mad because Ciroc didn't want to fight her, so she takes a water, tells Summer to shut up, and she splashes Summer with the damn water. And Summer was definitely afraid of Tasiki, which a lot of the girls are afraid of Tasiki, but she was telling security to keep Tasiki far away from her, so she definitely didn't want it with her. So all that drama ends and the ladies end up going home to get ready for the day, because obviously they have a performance that night in LA. So they all show up to do their performances. And honestly, it was going well. Everybody's performance was doing just fine. There was a little bit of messiness and a little bit of drama though, because Bahati ended up coming on stage with Hurricane M's wig framed and she gave it to one of the fans. So there was a little bit of drama with that. And then somehow E.T. and Pressure ended up standing next to each other and they were getting ready to fight with each other, but security kept them from fighting. Summer comes out on stage to do her performance and the fans were cheering for her, and Natalie was actually really surprised about that, and she called out the fans for that because she said that last season Summer was getting booed off the stage and now all of a sudden the fans are cheering her. I see what Natalie's saying, because a lot of the fans are very flip-floppy. I feel like, you know, the only reason why people like Summer now is because she's no longer friends with Dolly and Lex, and that's just how I feel. If they were still a trio, people would still have an issue with Summer. Truthfully, I don't think that any of these girls should receive any hate, but the fact that Lex gets more hate than Summer now is crazy to me, because nothing that Lex has done on this show is worse than anything that Summer has done. So I think that's crazy, but I do feel like it's good for all the girls to get some love, and I don't feel like people should be on social media giving these girls hate. I just feel like that's not right. Stunna Girl ends up showing up to do her performance, and honestly, she looked pretty, she looked good, she's entertaining, so I'm interested to see what she'll bring to this season, because she actually ended up staying for an extended period of time this season, even though she was only supposed to be there for a short period of time. But all of a sudden, backstage, Diamond goes backstage to the dressing room and she sees that Fauna's in there. Fauna's in there with Cold Killer and Ivori, and Diamond and Fauna start going back and forth with each other. They're arguing. At first it seems playful and Ivori and Cold Killer are laughing at the two of them, but then all of a sudden it starts to get a little bit serious. They both jump up like they're ready to fight, and Ivori jumps between them and tries to get them not to fight, because honestly, I agree with Ivori. I don't feel like there's a point in the two of them fighting, but if Diamond wants to get her lick back on Fauna because Fauna beat her up when she was drunk at the reunion, just move out the way, Ivori, and let them two fight. And Ivori does end up moving out of the way and just letting them get it over with. And honestly, this first fight between the two of them, neither one of them really did anything. They were swinging really fast and it didn't last really long. I don't even know if either of them were able to touch each other during this fight. But then Diamond starts climbing up on everything like a squirrel, and the two of them are throwing things at each other, and I'm like, damn, like they're really getting heated with each other. And then they're both holding onto this pole that's holding up a shelf, and they're both hanging from it, kicking their legs and screaming at each other. I'm like, what the hell am I watching right now? Like, what the hell are they doing? So then Fauna's in the hallway. She's not really trying to fight Diamond, but Diamond comes out there and she wants to fight again, so that's exactly what they do. But they were taking too long to get the fight started. I mean, Fauna was throwing kicks and trying to swing at Diamond, but neither one of them were touching each other. I think everybody watching this fight was getting a little bit annoyed, but eventually they started really fighting and getting in there, and I will give the win to Fauna because she did catch Diamond a few times, but she didn't really win by a lot because Diamond was swinging because Ivori was right there coaching her. But I don't want to see these two fight anymore. I'm over it. And after all the performances were done, all the baddies were on stage dancing and saying goodbye to the fans, and all of a sudden E.T. runs over and tries to snatch off Pressure's wig, and when she snatches off her wig, she ends up falling to the ground, and I'm like, damn, karma got to her really quickly. But the episode cut there. I thought this was a pretty entertaining episode. Let me know what you guys thought about this episode down in the comment section, and I'll talk to you guys in my next video.